Welcome to the City Current Show, powered by Hagen Botham Insurance and Financial Services.
This show focuses on sharing good news and powering the good in our community. Now here's your host, Andrew Bartolotta.
Welcome to the City Current Show. I'm your host, Andrew Bartolotta. We're always honored to bring you inspiring stories of individuals and organizations making a difference and powering the good in our community and around the globe. And this is an exciting interview today because when we talk about inspiring others around the globe, we're thrilled to welcome Erik Olson, president of Dignity Coconuts, a company that's not just producing pure organic coconut oil, but also transforming lives in the process. And we're going to get to learn more and peel back the layers of this incredible social enterprise and explore the myriad benefits of coconut oil, the superfood that's enriching our health and catalyzing social change. Erik, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. Okay, let's start by talking about the origins of Dignity Coconuts and its mission.
Yeah. So in 2005, my wife and I, we were in the red light district of Athens, Greece. They had just had the Olympics the year before. And so a lot of women had been trafficked. We'd heard this. And so we went over there to meet women that had been trafficked. And I'll never forget meeting these women. One in particular, her name was Rachel. She was tall, beautiful woman from Nigeria. And to everybody else driving by on this street, I'm sure they just imagined this was kind of like a pretty woman story. A woman there by choice, kind of happy with her life. She had fancy makeup, fancy clothes, and things like that. And yet we got to know her over coffee and biscuits that we offered her and heard her story. And her story was so different than what people would have thought. She was from a poor rural area of Nigeria, large family. They were barely surviving. And so when these traffickers came by and offered her a job as a waitress in Europe, they jumped at the chance. This was an opportunity of a lifetime. And unfortunately, like millions of other stories, she gets to Europe, her passport's stolen, she's raped, and she's told if she doesn't pay back the contract that she signed in a language she didn't understand that said she had to pay $15,000 to pay for these trafficking fees, that she would go to jail for the next 10 years. And unfortunately, because of the laws, that would have been true. It would have happened that way. And so she felt like there was no choice but to do what these traffickers said and to sell her body to make money. And this just broke my heart to see these situations that are happening. So I spent the next 8 years in nonprofit work, much of that helping form up teams of people in Honduras, Thailand, Cambodia, Greece, helping fight against sex trafficking. So in 2012, together with my wife and my father-in-law, we started Dignity Coconuts to help coconut farmers specifically who we saw were at risk of trafficking.
What a way to take your purpose in helping others and then find a way to bring it into a social enterprise. So not only are you creating a product that is phenomenal for so many benefits, but also you are helping those in the Philippines. Talk about the process of this business model focused on combating human trafficking and then creating a social enterprise, and how those first formative years in Dignity Coconuts was able to form, not only working in the farms, but also creating this product.
Coming from nonprofit work, we started looking upstream and saying, these women were in terrible situations, getting survivors out. There was so much trauma therapy and so much rehabilitation work. And even with all the work we were doing with these women, 80% of them, if they didn't find a safe, meaningful job, would end up getting sucked back into the industry. So we started to see there was all these economic factors for these women. And so we started to realize, if an economic problem needs an economic solution. And so we started looking at, okay, what are the big factors? Unemployment, areas of unemployment, you know, lack of education, cycles of debt, as well as exploitation. And these coconut farmers in the Philippines, they had all of those. I mean, it was just ripe. You know, we'd heard some stories of trafficking, but we knew it was these were ripe for these traffickers to pick these women and children off. And uh, so we started working with the farmers and saying, how can we help them, and how can we work to help their life better so they're not at risk of trafficking. And as much as we tried to help them with various education, we actually set up a high school. We built a high school. We built an orphanage. We built a a micro business, and we were doing all of these good nonprofit work. But still, they were vulnerable, and it was because we weren't a part of the industry that they were a part of. And that's when we realized we need to switch models here. We need to switch to a business model where we can really actually be competitors of the coconut industry that's taking advantage of these coconut farmers. And specifically, what they're doing is they're offering predatory loans to these farmers because it locks in the supply. You can't sell to somebody else if you're indebted to your buyer. And they also had these corrupt pricing practices that they would never get all of the money that they're really owed for their harvest. So we came in and said, hey, we want to treat these farmers well, pay them fair trade for their coconuts, and at the same time help them have better yield with their coconuts, get a better harvest, and at the same time do all the nonprofit work. So it's kind of a marriage of the best of nonprofit and the best that business has to offer together.
So I definitely want to dive into the products themselves. But before we do that, because we are on this path of really the impact that you all are making and the story of Dignity Coconuts, share a success story that illustrates the impact that you've made on the local community in the Philippines.
My favorite one is Ivy. I was just with her in November. So she grew up in a coconut farming family, and thankfully, because Dignity started buying their coconuts, they had extra income and were able to send her to college. Now, I have to pause here because in this community, sending anybody to college would be a huge deal. We did a baseline survey 10 years ago and found less than 1% go and take one college class or a trade school or anything like that. It's really only 35% graduate high school at all. So it's a big deal to go to college. Coconut farmers are at the bottom of the economic level. And so the idea of a coconut farmer sending somebody to college would have been laughable 10 years ago. So thankfully now we have lots of our farmers who sent kids to college. Actually, the majority of them that I met in my trip in November had sent a kid to college. It was mind blowing. But so Ivy goes to college. She gets a degree in food technology, and she decides, yeah, there's these opportunities to go to the big city or go to other countries to use her degree. She decides to come back to her hometown, and she works for Dignity. And now she's our production manager, and we love it. And by the way, you know, we have a big focus on women in leadership and lifting up women. I think globally, and in the U.S. too, there's a bit of a glass ceiling, and women are not treated the same in the workforce. But globally, especially in third world countries, it's much worse. And so we really want to lift up women. We have a commitment to 50% of our employees being women, 50% of our leadership, our board members, because we really want to lift up women in the workforce.
Talk about the importance of, in the process of the coconut seedlings into the coconut tree. And I am not an expert in coconuts, so I know that you will tell us the right terminology, but go from coconuts to then organic coconut oil and then the products that you offer at Dignity Coconuts.
Yeah. So to keep it real simple, when you take a coconut and plant it, takes about 5 years before that becomes a mature coconut tree that bears coconuts. Um, and and then from there, coconut trees usually have about they bear about 70 coconuts a year in fruit, and they're harvested every 45 days. So unlike, corn and others where you might get one or two harvests a year, we're we're harvesting every month and a half. And then we take those coconuts, and we take that shell of a coconut. You often see in a grocery store that hard brown shell. We take that off, and then you're left with that coconut, that white coconut meat, and we press that meat. It gives us a coconut cream. We put that into a centrifuge, and so using G-force, we gently separate the milk from the oil, and that's what gives us our patented coconut oil.
So talk about the products then that you sell with Dignity Coconuts because of that organic coconut oil.
Yeah, so our first product was this virgin coconut oil. And so we make that and sell that in 1,000 stores around the US, as well as online and on Amazon. And then we started looking at other ways to use our coconut oil. And we found a lot of the natural lip balms that are made in the US. The main ingredient is virgin coconut oil because it protects and it heals the lips. One of the components of coconut oil that makes it so fantastic is it has lauric acid. This is a type of fatty acid, and it's only found in two things on Earth: breast milk and coconut oil. And if you there's many people that talk about the amazing benefits of breast milk and the healing powers and things like that. Well, coconut oil has those same things. It's an antimicrobial, and it has these healing properties to it. And so it's actually, if you look at baby food, it's the main ingredient is baby food, as it comes from coconut oil. So that's we made our own lip balm using that. It's natural. It's mostly organic, and it's vegan. And then we have a few other beauty products. We have a dry brush for exfoliating your skin, and we have other products that we're launching soon.
Very cool. And you've also won awards because of the amazing products, particularly the lip balm. I saw that you received a beauty award for that, which is outstanding because not only do you offer quality products, but you know that it gives back. And when we talk about the experience economy, but also how consumers are committed to social change and supporting businesses that are, I think that really goes into the fact that they want to anything that they either put on their body or is in their home or that they're exposing to their family. They want it to have a lasting impact and know that they're doing good and not just adding to the landfills or adding to climate change and such. And so it's great the work that Dignity Coconuts is doing and that sustainable work. Talk about how listeners can support Dignity Coconuts or get involved with your mission.
An easy one is to switch to using our products, our lip balm, our virgin coconut oil. When you buy Dignity coconut oil and our other products, you really are helping a farmer get out of those predatory loans, and out of those corrupt pricing practices, and have a new way of life to help them really thrive. In addition to our 156 farmer families, we have 114 employees that work at our facility. That usually they come from these coconut farming families. This gives them the opportunity to stay with their family and not have to go find work in faraway cities where that creates a lot of brokenness for the families. Another way to help is become an advocate. Follow us on social media, share our content, engage with our content. Also, telling grocery stores to stock our products. It's amazing how difficult it is to get into the grocery business. There's these gatekeepers that keep little small companies like ours out, and so it's very difficult. And you'd be surprised at when you mention as a customer to your local grocery store, hey, why don't you carry Dignity Coconuts? They have a great product and great mission. You'd be surprised at how much they listen.
You are a testament to how entrepreneurs can have a socially minded product or service that helps make the world a better place. So kudos to you and your team on doing that. Are there any really next big steps for Dignity Coconuts, or how do you see the company evolving in the coming years?
We're growing right now, and it's exciting to every new farmer that joins is just exciting. We celebrate each one, and each new employee is a celebration too. So we can't wait for the day that we've doubled how many employees and farmers we have. We can't wait for the day where we have so many customers buying our products that we actually need to start a new plant in a new location. We've identified 12 other locations around the tropics that are at risk as well and have other needs. We can't wait to build another production facility. We call it a community transformation plant. We can't wait to build another community transformation plant in these other locations. Beyond that, maybe someday we'll go beyond coconuts and start doing mangoes or other fruits or maybe textiles. Because I think this business model can go beyond just coconuts. This marriage of taking the best of nonprofit work and the best that business has to offer in terms of economic development and really being a force of good. I think putting those two together, we've just seen exponential impact.
Well, as you have a product on your website, a shirt, it says "Dignity changes everything," and that is truly at the heart of what you are doing. So, when you purchase a jar of coconut oil, there's a signature on the top. Talk about who signs it, what is that, and talk about the process there.
Yeah, so every day we have our workers sign the lids of the jars that are being made that day. This one was signed by Marilyn, and we have a little QR code to help you find Marilyn on our website and to hear her story. And we did that because we really wanted the customer to feel connected. They are the ones making an impact. We feel like Dignity, we're just a bridge. We're just connecting the customer to these local farmers. They're the ones making the impact. And so we wanted our customers to know the people behind the jar. But here's a funny story. When I first was explaining to our employees that they were going to take these Sharpie markers and sign their names, well, half of them we had to teach them how to write and how to write their names because they were illiterate. But I was sitting with a bunch of these women, helping them, sign these jars and say, I want you to take the whole area. It needs to be legible, things like that. And so they did. They signed the jars, and then all of a sudden, they all started giggling, and then looking to each other and giggling and talking. And I finally, I said, "Hey, help me. Translate for me. What's going on?" And what I realized was, for them, these are poor rural farmers, and the idea that their name is going on a jar that's going to go to the other side of the world and a family in America is going to enjoy it. They just couldn't believe it. They were just so full of really, dignity is the best word to use it, and that's the name of our company. We want people to have that dignity that you are valuable, that you made something incredible. You made the best coconut oil on earth. Really, I've tried them all. This is the best. And for them to have their name on that jar really fills them up.
Well said, beautiful. And lastly, where can people go to learn more about Dignity Coconuts, learn more about your story, but also, most importantly, purchase your products?
Yeah, dignitycoconuts.com is the best place to go. On socials, you can find us at Dignity Coconuts, or on Instagram, it's dignity.coconuts. And we have some fun videos to watch, especially some of our employees and some of the work we're doing. And so we'd love for you to follow us.
Well, Erik, thank you so much for the work and the purpose that you are doing, bridging the gap from community to consumer, for allowing these stories to be told, Dignity Coconuts, providing beautiful products, but also a sustainable mindset and sustainable practice and product that is making a difference throughout the world. So thank you to you and your team, and thank you for powering the good in our community and especially around the globe.
Thanks for letting me share our story.